All right, welcome in. Pittsburgh Steelers training camp 2025 in Latrobe, just hitting different. The energy, the anticipation, it's off the charts already.
Steelers linebacker Patrick Queen's flying around like he's in the middle of an all-pro season, and Aaron Rodgers is walking that legendary path like he's meant to be here.
And Steelers running back Kaleb Johnson, he's making defenders look silly already. You're going to hear that name a lot this season, New Bear.
Plus wide receiver 2 battle, big QB surprises, Steelers locker room stories, and Aaron Rodgers already claiming the turf like he owns the place.
All right, let's get into it. The Knoll Road Steelers podcast starting right now. Here we go.
Van to the corner of the end zone. Oh, for a touchdown!
All right, Steelers training camp up. 3 practices in the books already. New Bear, the most interesting thing I've seen this week, though, maybe just the walk down from Aaron Rodgers, seeing a future Hall of Famer, another iconic figure in the NFL, taking this walk that so many before him have. He's almost like the hero in a movie, you know, walking down to rally the troops before the iconic and, a climax and finale. So,
well, I know what you want to say. You want to go gladiator, just go Maximus Decimus Aaron Rodgers. Like, call it what it is. There's nothing like the entrance in Latrobe.
No, there isn't. And, every Steelers championship has started on this path right here. There's nothing like this in the NFL or anywhere in sport, is there?
No, and there's all, the mom and pop, the Pittsburgh is different than New York, LA, Chicago, etc. And for any flack that they might take, if you've ever seen the Peter King compared to Scotland, the hills of the rolling hills of Scotland and some of his favorite places in the world that are just, they're different. It's a time capsule. And, I live 3 miles west of the stadium in a borough that was, plotted in like 1885. And anytime anyone makes a joke about what the Steelers don't have, I just talk about how special it is.
It is. It's incredibly special, and the vibes were already immaculate. Then the play started. Here we are.
Yeah.
Queen interception, getting the party started. New Bear, I know you have a lot to say about this one.
I do, because I feel like Queen is almost this forgotten dude. Broadus, right? Your guy in G-Bag Nation is a huge LSU guy, played at LSU. And everyone, when they think about the 2019 LSU team, they go Burrow, they go Chase, they go Justin Jefferson. Patrick Queen was the beating heart of that defense. He was the MVP of the defensive MVP of the Natty. And I just, he's had such an interesting run so far in the NFL where
he always seems like he's on the edge of breakout to pure greatness. And then something happens.
The Baltimore thing with Roquan Smith that slotted him in next to another, you want to talk about dudes. I mean, Roquan might be the dude of dudes. And they were All-Pro 1 and All-Pro 2 in their only season together in 2023 after, Roquan got traded at the deadline, moved from my hometown Bears, and I was crushed. And then I was like, hold on, he's going to Baltimore and he's going to run with Patrick Queen? This is about to be the best linebacker duo in the league. And they were. And when he signed here and everyone talked about what it might mean or what it might look like, first of all, he took less. He took less than market value. There were other teams that were paying substantially more. This is a dude that wanted to be here. And then at the same time, they bring in Peyton Wilson alongside him. And I start immediately going, well, shit, is this Roquan and Patrick Queen light? Like, what does this project to? And then, things went how they went last year. And Patrick Queen, who's, he's on the smaller side. He's 6 foot. He's 230. He's fast. And he's a playmaker. And he played, I think, more snaps than all but 3 or 4 linebackers in the whole league last year. He's a dude who shows up. He shows up, he plays his ass off, and he makes plays. But last year in the counting stats side of things, his name, he didn't just register a lot of stuff. And I think him and Peyton Wilson together project to be not just game records, because, Peyton Wilson is a guy who made arguably the best interception in the NFL last year. And then at the same time, Patrick Queen is a guy who can play alongside him and really just wreak havoc, as cover guys, as run stuffers, as blitzers. They're almost interchangeable. And I really love so much of what's going on inside a linebacker room where everyone is so focused on the guys on the edge.
What do you make of first pick, first play pick from Aaron Rodgers? An ominous sign, or just, hey, it's training camp, none of this matters?
Sorry, I wanted to talk about the person over the play for a minute, so thank you for giving me a little bit of runway. The play in and of itself there's so many different things, right? The first one being, here's Patrick Queen making a play. Day one, play one, buzzing the flat, and I loved when he was asked, did you confuse Aaron Rodgers? He passed the buck. He said, I don't know. I won't go that far. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to get into with Jaylen Ramsey, tracking wide receiver one, blitzing off the slot, playing center field, and affecting all three levels. Patrick Queen is a guy who can really do a lot in the first two. And when you think about Aaron Rodgers throwing a interception on the very first play, the other thing I love is the first play goes to DK. All the talk about, George Pickens is on the sidelines throwing tablets or argue, and he's not involved, and why don't you just throw him a quick little bubble or tunnel or a zip? Dude, play one, day one. Hey, DK, let's eat.
Yeah, let's make this happen. It is interesting how many quarterbacks have had their first pass of training camp picked off so far. I know what happened to Dak Prescott. I know what happened to Jackson Dart. Here it happened to Aaron Rodgers. But, it is so clear here just the kind of camp Mike Tomlin runs, and everybody is on the same page. It's about half or three-quarter speed. None of this is going to matter really until we get to week one. As far as, where is Aaron Rodgers and this offense? It is fascinating, when you're trying to bring a Hall of Fame quarterback in late. It worked for Tampa incredibly well. It worked for Denver incredibly well. Aaron Rodgers already on the other side of 40. He could have another season like his final two in Green Bay, or he could suddenly get old, as Tom Brady appeared to be in his final playoff game. So I'm watching everything. As he's walking down, I'm like, this is great. The nostalgia, the history, the vibes, but I'm checking out the gait of his stride, and looking for any sign that maybe the balance, the strength is not where it was pre-Achilles.
He's bounding almost down those stairs. And, we've talked about this, you've had the ankle, I've had Achilles issues, an ankle and knee, and, the hip bone's connected to the leg bone. First thing the orthodox do is they say, no uphill, no downhill. You walk flat or you don't walk at all. And for him to be in a place now where he seems to really just not even be thinking about it, he's stepping up. There's some really great clips of him throwing sidearm in the pocket, stepping up and evading pressure and doing Aaron Rodgers stuff. I keep sending you these 30s and 60s and 90s that everyone's making on Twitter of here's the best 30 seconds of Aaron Rodgers. You like that? Here's the best 60 seconds. Is he 28-year-old, even 32, 35-year-old Aaron Rodgers? Let's not forget, though, the man won MVP of the league, his fourth overall, in his age 38 season.
Yeah, he's aged quite well. And on the other side of the Achilles, I think it brings it up for conversation, how much of that Aaron Rodgers, but he was an elite athlete, his mobility, his quickness, his release, it was all there. So he could lose 10 or 15%, I think, and still be above average compared to his peers in the NFL. I think he's still a top 10 quarterback. Let's get you some Rodgers highlights. This is actually from today's practice touchdown to Washington. Going to mute it there because the copyright situation, but that's the kind of half or three-quarter type speed stuff. But I think it really just opens the door for us to have a conversation about where we anticipate this red zone offense is going to be. Last year with New York, Aaron Rodgers led the NFL in red zone pass percentage. It was 70% of the time. I think you want to get that number down if you can. Ideally, you'd be over 50% running the ball in the but that stat just shows you how confident and how good Rodgers is, getting the ball to guys. DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, top 10% in their position for red zone efficiency. So, I love it. If you can pass the ball into the end zone in a constricted field, I think you're the elite of the elite.
Yeah, well, one of the things you don't have to half or three quarters, whatever you want to call it, not full go, certainly not regular season, certainly not playoff speed. There is, 13 out of 10, no notes, 6'7", 280 pounds. There are very few humans on this planet who have the combination of stuff that is made for goal line football, whether you're talking about wham blocking or flexing out at X and throwing jump balls to Mount Washington. That dude is different. And then you go, well, Pat Freiermuth is 6'6", 260. And then, oh, by the way, DK, I mean, anytime anyone puts anything on the internet with DK doing it, people go, is this AI? I mean, he's about as freaky as it gets. And then you think about that in totality, and then you go, okay, well, Roman Wilson, sneaky fast route runner. Calvin Austin, super fast route runner. Kaleb Johnson's going to bang heads. Warren will he'll give you every inch and every pound and every ounce of effort that you could want if he ends up being the guy that you like better. And now you're putting all these guys in the same mix. Now you're drawing up stuff in the dirt on the grease board and saying, like, how much fun is this? Because if Darnell Washington starts coming in motion to knock the snot bubbles out of a guy, and you do that once or twice, and Kaleb Johnson goes in, maybe he even goes over the top, shout out Walter Payton, LaDainian Tomlinson. You do that, and then off of that, now Washington just goes all the way across the formation, and he's flexed out wide, and it's one-on-one with a 5'8", 5'11", 100-0 corner. They've done that, and he's dunked on people. So I love the fact that going into this year, there's so many options. Everyone's so focused on wide receiver 2 stepping up and unlocking this offense and truly allowing it to go to the place that it could go. Let's just be thankful and happy and super excited that for the first time since Ben's last year, we are super confident in the quarterback room, and we are super confident that there are grown-ups making decisions who are going to make some grown man plays when it's all on the line.
I mean, you do have at least 3 weapons between the 2 tight ends and Metcalf, and I think they're going to be pretty good at running back. We'll talk about wide receiver 2 and running back specifically a little bit later on here on the Knoll Road. I wanted to ask you, like, first 3 days, Mason Rudolph has at times been the best quarterback in drills. Here he is today with a hell of a throw to the outside. What's his spot on here? And then here's, I think, the question to the topic for debate. If Rodgers would go down, how much of a run could you make with this guy, Anderson? Levels, isn't it? I mean, I really like that throw from Rudolph. Obviously, you've won plenty of games with him. I think his record as a backup might even be above 500. So, that's the topic right there for you, New Bear. Let's say things don't go well for Rodgers, or he's got to sit down for a month or so in the middle of the season. How viable is this team with Rudolph under center?
Yeah, I mean, clip this, cut this, meme me, do whatever you're going to do. I was one of the few guys who would have been totally fine if Rodgers decided to hang him up. I wanted to see if Mason Rudolph could have been the answer going forward for the next couple of years, because if we're going to talk about how the Steelers had a first-round grade on him coming out, well, okay, the haters go, why didn't you draft him in the first round? They got him in the third, and they had a first-round grade on him, and you could argue that he was easily the best quarterback in that year's draft class, and he ripped up Saturday. And then you look at how that projects to Sunday, and he's never really been in a position where he was able to kind of translate that and do the same things. However, when the Steelers were on the ropes and he got the call and they had to go every week, get it done to get into the playoffs, he did. And then he acquitted himself decently well against Josh Allen, last year's MVP. I mean, this is a guy, look, you can disagree with me. You can say he's not QB1. You can talk about how much better Aaron Rodgers is. I'm not going to argue with you, Rodgers v. Rudolph. But I was sitting here saying to myself, all things considered, if it's just Mason Rudolph and Aaron Rodgers is the only thing that wasn't added to this team, this is still a playoff caliber team. Aaron Rodgers makes them a potentially Super Bowl caliber team. So if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, then you're still talking about the playoffs are the goal. And we're not talking about Will Howard at all. I mean, we've been glossing about him, how much Rodgers loves the kid, how much Ben is mentoring the kid. And I think there's a super bright future, and they might actually have QB1 in the future with him absolutely over Mason because of what he can give you as an athlete, that Mason just doesn't roll out of bed with. But in terms of the simple, flat, and plain question, if Aaron Rodgers were to go down and Mason Rudolph were to step in, I mean, there's an argument to be had that Mason Rudolph's the best QB2 in the whole damn league.
Yeah, I mean, prototypical size, great arm, good enough decision making. I think he's got a lot of the things that you love to have as a backup QB.
I mean, Mark Cabali said that he had the best arm in camp, better than Rodgers. They said his arm looks better than Rodgers right now.
Wow. Okay, let's go to their backfield partner here in the rookie, Kaleb Johnson. Here he is. Christopher Carter posting the video on Steelers Twitter, and he's talking about what he brings to the offense.
You looking natural, catching some passes, from Aaron and keeping, catching it and getting the yak afterwards. That wasn't something Iowa asked a whole lot of you. Is that a hidden part of your game, or is that something you're working on?
To be honest, I feel like my hidden part of my game was my speed and my catching ability, and I feel like I really can contribute to catching ability and catching protections and stuff like that. So with A-Rod and just all the quarterbacks, I feel like they trusted me now and trust that I can make really good plays from the pass perspective of it too. So
how's Eddie Faulkner been just working with him now that you're at camp and not mini camp or anything like that anymore?
I've been loving it. I've been loving him, and I've been loving the relationship we've been building and stuff like that. It's been really good. He's been showing me the little ins and outs of stuff and really how to get things done and how to get things done the Pittsburgh way.
Man, I love rookie nervousness with the media. It's so crazy the transformation they go through from first year to year 3 or year 4, and I think he's going to be just fine though, and he's getting a ton of love on social for this play right here from practice number 2. It's the speed button right around the corner he goes. So the speed and then the pass protection is great as well. He's got a clip we'll run a little bit later on. But, I think Kaleb Johnson, as excited as we can be about the acquisition of Jaylen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers, I think you might have a star running back right here.
I mean, the Iowa Hawkeyes would love to win games 3-2. I mean, they want to have baseball scores. It's one of the worst offense, least exciting in the country. And this dude, when you can go find clips of him taking swings and taking screens and doing things, like if you want to dig and look into it and say, how does this, matriculator translate? And Aaron Rodgers, one of the sidearm throws, one of those peekaboo, hey, check me outs. Yeah. And then, oh, by the way, he's going to put his foot in the dirt and get on the track and stay on the track and then come out the other side. I mean, he is the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a damn train. I love this kid and how he projects. And there's just some guys who they do what they do on Sunday and it's great. And then they go to the underwear Olympics and maybe there's other guys who look better than them or run faster or whatever the case may be. You like what you like. Your scheme is your scheme. But when you talk about what the Pittsburgh Steelers do and what this kid is capable of, I think that he's going to surprise everybody and he's going to be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean, this play against Nebraska is just insane. He's got 5 dudes around him right there. He's got 2 dudes around him right there. I mean, the vision, the toughness, the balance. Maybe you would have loved to see some runaway speed. Is 42 a linebacker? Probably. And linebacker was gaining on him a little bit, but he did have to break 17 tackles before he got to that point. But that was one of his best plays from college and just demonstrates what that can give you. If you have a back that can take plays like this and get to the house, it just gives you time. Yeah, I mean, that was the difference last year with the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, and it made them unbeatable because every time he got the ball, there was the risk of him, going to the house. And I don't know if Kaleb Johnson's going to be the best running back in the NFL at any point in his career, but I will not be surprised if he's a top 10 guy and a fantasy stud.
Let's also say that he gets caught by anybody right there and he gets walked down, like even Emmitt Smith, the best to ever do it from a data point perspective, happened. I mean, he was not a breakaway runaway guy. Kaleb Johnson on that play that you just showed, that's a first down, that's a 20-30 yard gain, and it becomes a touchdown because he never gives up on a play. And when you look at his size and then you look at he's working with Le'Veon Bell and his patience, right? You talk about vision and contact balance. He actually looks like Skip to my Lou Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it's unbelievable the size and the measurables when you line them up side by side. It's just a fascinating thing to think about where he's going to get on the track, stay on the track, and then come out the other end. Because that was the one bugaboo with Najee. Like Najee might have been taller, longer, faster, hit the triangle button and be on SportsCenter at Alabama, but Najee wanted to play like a smaller back. Kaleb Johnson's not going to bleep around.
No, Najee Harris is one of the biggest disappointments at tailback that I've seen in the NFL in quite a while, and that's disappointing. Okay, I mentioned pass pro, and I misspoke. It wasn't Kaleb Johnson. It made me think of this.
Oh, yeah. This guy might be the best in the league, and that's not – he's unbelievable. And look at it. That's the thing is these guys finish. It's not just about getting their job done. It's about sending a message. Don't even think about coming after 8.
Dude, that's just incredible right there. I don't know if I've ever seen a running back, pass protect like that. Okay, let's get into wide receiver 2 stuff right now. It's by committee, I think, and I do like the group overall. I'm kind of hoping that either Robert Woods can turn back the clock and just be so amazing with Aaron Rodgers that he gives you some prime Robert Woods, or one of these other guys, can step up. But, to hear Robert. Yeah.
Well, so Robert Woods.
Yeah, you can
Robert Woods, a professional receiver. He's a very, very, very good player, has been for a long time. And you don't get there and stay there even through injuries if you can't get the job done. But when you think about 11 personnel and you think about Austin and Wilson together, everyone's been so concerned about wide receiver 2. What if they both get right?
That would be something. I don't want to, be greedy. I would be happy if they could just emerge as solid, like 500-600 yard targets, and Woods could give you another 500 or 600 yards, because I think they complement each other incredibly well. You have the veteran, you have the slot, you have the speed. Like, it's a nice group of dudes. And, I think there's many ways to flush out a core around a number 1 guy who can dictate matchups and create double teams. And, we'll just see. I think the interesting thing about Woods, though, is when he was asked about being the number 2 wide receiver, he said, I know DK's the guy, but I've always competed to be number 1. And that's how you make yourself better. So he's not settling for number 2.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Woods has been real good for a real long time. And he's a guy in this league who's put up, I think he had a 3-year run where he was plus 85 catches. I know he's had back-to-back 90 catch seasons. I think he had 3 in a row over 85. This is a guy who's gone back-to-back 4 digits. He's a really, really good player. We also just talk about, I think, here relative to the ceiling, right? Relative to how good can you be, and is this a Super Bowl team? He was in a crowded wide receiver room in Houston, a lot of good players, a lot of speed. And I feel like his mentorship and his ability to say, hey, this is how you be a pro. This is how you run routes. This is how you adjust to coverage. Don't lean on that safety. Don't give him, his ability to do that stuff is going to be more important and more meaningful and make a bigger impact, because Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson can just go.
Okay, and speaking of just going, let's get some highlights. This one from Muthberg88. Salute to you there on Twitter for, giving us the content to cover here on the Knoll Road. Here's the 4th rounder from 2022. Very electric. Rodgers in the gun. Puts his tight end in motion there. And boom, I think the quickness that he gets 15 to 20 yards downfield is incredible right here. He's lined up out here, and he's going to go boom, boom, and just be beyond the secondary. Even before Rodgers completes his drop, he's damn near there. So that's the speed guy, the speed element. And then, we can give you some Roman Wilson in here as well. Just a flavor of what's going on up there in Latrobe, Steelers training camp 2025 coverage on the Knoll Road. 3rd rounder last year. Why didn't he play very much, New Bear? That's quite a talented guy and a day 2 pick.
Injuries, and then I feel like a little bit of the doghouse. And there's really no way to sugarcoat it. You can say whatever you want, but I think the rumor was the team wanted him to play maybe through some of the pain. The rumor was maybe he was, I don't want to say milking it like he's soft, but at the same time, like, at a certain point, you got to figure out if you can go and if 85% of you is better than the next man up or not. And I think they just, J.J. McCarthy called Roman Wilson the best wide receiver in the country. Roman Wilson was a big-time player on the best team in the country. And when you think about, getting a guy like that in the 3rd round, and the Steelers have such a history of getting middle round wide receivers and turning them into all pros. Over the course of even just my time in Pittsburgh or our lifetime, like going back over time, every big time guy that they got is for the most part a guy that they got in the middle rounds that everyone else didn't see what they saw, and they were right. And then there's guys that they've gotten even lower than that who have gone on to do big things, right? It's very rarely is the DK Metcalf pick and money picking paycheck, right? The way that they've done business. It's really trusting in their ability to go find traits guys and then unlock what they can do regardless of their size. And I think that's the thing about everyone's talking about how small Austin is. Steelers only care about production. And, when you look at these guys side by side, it's really interesting, right? Because Austin is a guy who came out 5'8", 170 and goes 4.32. Then you go, okay, well, what's his 10-yard split? 1.5. Then you go, okay, well, Roman Wilson's a guy who comes out. You still talk about he's not like a world beater in terms of the underwear Olympics. He's only 5'11", 185, but he ran 4.39 and a 1.52 split. So when you put these guys side by side, they're a lot closer than anybody thinks.
You know what I love about that play? I mean, I'm a huge play action guy. I think if you're not trying to do play action, you're just lying to yourself and you're ignorant about what's going on in the NFL. And, Rodgers has had a love and hate relationship with that over the years. It really drove Mike McCarthy and him apart in Green Bay in those last couple of years. I think this is a big year for Arthur Smith after the success early in his career and then the flop last year. How much of that was, caused by the personnel? But when you're marrying the run game with the pass game like that, and you can see the tailback come through. Sorry, I shouldn't have switched screens yet, but you can see the tailback come through, and if the defense, goes to him, you got the guy on the outside here, Wilson. And I just think you're making the linebackers and defensive backs, try to decipher how many different options are coming off this play action. You think it's run, you're like, it's a pass out here, and everything happening, simultaneously is the absolute magic of, what's allowing these NFL teams to get an advantage against smarter and faster defenses than they've ever seen. If you're not trying to trick them in the second after the snap, I think you're totally bleeped.
Man, I gotta apologize. As much as I want to dig in on a tit for tat basis, if you restart this play, watch Broderick Jones. This has been one of the big pulse points. The left tackle, 77, whiff.
Oh, the whiff.
So there's no pads on, and that's one of the first things you got to do is any jokes about the underwear Olympics apply till you're in pads and it's full go. But one of the big challenges with this team is, can Broderick Jones slide back to his natural position, the one that you traded up to get him for, and play left tackle and keep Aaron Rodgers clean? So
it's just destroyed him right there. And Rodgers would have never gotten rid of that football in a real play. You're right.
Not a chance. And everyone keeps talking about how some of these long runs by Kaleb Johnson, if they were in pads, he would have got tackled. I actually think Kaleb Johnson is going to be better when they put the pads on. So if he's looking good, explosive and good and patient, and then also just like hitting holes on the track, through the track, stay on that. Like, that was the one thing I don't want to harp on the departed, but the guy that he's stepping in for, and those 275 carries, 300 touches that are out there for him, it's a lot more exciting if he's going to be decisive. And one of the things that they're going to have to decide is if 77 can get it done or not, because if you have to help him and chip and keep Darnell Washington and company in, you're taking a pass receiving threat out of the game. And one of the things that we're all excited about is the 12 and 13 personnel. And if you're in 12 and 13 because you're having to protect your blind side, that's a completely different conversation.
All right, up next here on the Knoll Road, and salute to the fan for being in Latrobe and capturing this Aaron Rodgers ganger, talking about some of the lighter stuff of camp and his roomie situation.
I was here Tuesday night, and not many other guys were here than the rookies. And when I got in the room, I realized we were sharing something. I was secretly kind of hoping it wasn't a big lineman or something. Maybe somebody that, cared about their hygiene a little bit. So when I walked in, I saw like a standard suitcase. I said, "Well, I think it's gonna be good. This is probably DK." That was
the designer suitcase. He knew he was a flashy, high-paid wide receiver, not one of those nasty offensive linemen like you knew, Bear, dropping bombs in the bathroom and leaving stuff all over the sink.
Did you see the clip where they talked about their toilet flush rule after dark?
Yes,
because apparently the toilet is extremely loud, and so if they're going into it, and it's in the middle of the night, you're not flushing. But my favorite thing about this is you got two guys, all pros, and $500 million between them, and they're sharing a toilet in camp. Like, this is you talk about them doing things different, meaning the Steelers and Latrobe. Rodgers talked about how when he was in Green Bay, he was on the third floor and he had to go up and down to get to practice, all day, every day throughout camp. And then I think by year 2 or 3, he was down on the second floor. And then ultimately when he becomes the starter, they put him on the first floor so he didn't have to do the stairs. What I love about this, this is the one. Go ahead and show this.
Yeah. This I'm just sharing screen. I have the text version here from Dove Kleiman, the ultimate NFL aggregator. At night we have to pee, just don't flush the toilet. So DK texted on Wednesday night, "Are you asleep yet?" And Aaron wasn't. So he said, "Bet I'm about to flush the toilet." So yeah, that's good team bonding stuff right there, isn't it? These guys are going to be so key for the success of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers over time. List the guys. Pick your favorite. Who do you think was the best receiver he played? Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Devonta Adams. Jordy Nelson was probably his favorite because they were just like thicker than thieves. You think Adams is the best?
Yeah, if I'm team building.
Yeah, so Adams has seasons
with 2 years at his peak. He was insane. He was in guard.
My God, you're talking about 200 target potential seasons, right? So because of the tight ends, Aaron Rodgers never had 3 tight ends, maybe 4 if you count Connor Hayward, right? But I mean, for sure, two-headed monster. But this is a 3-headed monster, and there might be 200 targets. There probably should be 200 targets in this tight end room, and that probably limits the ceiling of DK a little bit. Fantasy football owners, he's not going to be a 200 target guy, but every true wide receiver one Aaron Rodgers has ever had is a 10 target a game minimum, right? So conservatively, take 20% off the top and go to 8. I mean, 8 times 17, I'm doing the math. That's 80 and 56 is 136 targets. This should be DK Metcalf's best season of all time.
Yeah, and best quarterback he's played with, not even close. Up next here on the Knoll Road. First man out. I think this is second year in a row was Peyton Wilson. Brought his buddy Holcomb with him. Took a little knee down there and prayed or something like that. So that's cool. But I wanted to take the moment here to just talk about this linebacker room and how key it is. If you get, best season ever out of these guys, I think everything's going to be incredible. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to talk about this Peyton Wilson play last year against the Cowboys. He was so damn good in this game. It drove Cowboys fans absolutely mad because the year that he came out, they took Maris Leofau from Notre Dame like 11 picks before this dude. And that was just putting a magnifying glass on how much better the Steelers scouts in front office it is at finding linebackers than the Cowboys.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest here. This is a first-round draft pick who falls to where he falls because he has a longer injury report than Pac-Man Jones's rap sheet. I mean, this guy had issues, questions, comments, concerns. He doesn't even have an ACL in one knee. I mean, you start talking about shoulder and knee that are degenerative, and what's this guy's shelf life? Because he's not going to play for 12 or 15 years. So that's why he goes where he goes. Having said that, and living just a few blocks from Bill Cowher's house and living just a few miles from, I refuse to call it what it's supposed to be called, Heinz Field, as we go through this process, this is a guy who went to NC State and broke all of Cowher's records. This is a guy who loves Bill Cowher. This is a guy who wanted to be a Steeler more than anything. And, sometimes we talk about how things work out. Sometimes things that don't go your way become the only way that it ever could have happened. I mean, this is a guy who was destined to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. This is a guy who we're lucky to have here. And when you look at him being the 30th ranked linebacker in less than 500 snaps last year, the upside is I mean, the ceiling is insane if he stays healthy, if he continues to learn from Queen, if him and Queen play off of each other, and if he keeps making plays. You have the interception queued up because he arguably made the best interception of the year. You talk about him calling himself one of the best cover corners. He walked down that hill. They put a microphone in his face, and he said, I honestly believe I'm one of the best cover corners in this league. And when you go look at the tape and he backs it up at 6'4", 242 with all the other measurables and the production, I mean, what more could you ask for?
No, you really can't, obviously, other than having an ACL. but he gives you the opportunity, if he stays healthy and plays at his peak, to give you that third level. We know that the Steelers secondary is going to be damn good. We know the defensive line might be the best. If your linebackers play elite, that's what gives you the chance of being that defense that can, be as good as like the 2014 Denver Broncos, where it's like, hey, if you give us 17 points, we're probably going to win every single postseason game that we are in. And, I think that, explains quite well what Mike Tomlin's philosophy as far as team building is and how we're going to get this thing done. But, I wanted to get your thoughts as well on, some of this Jaylen. He's making his first appearance there in Latrobe, and, just the possibility of playing kind of more positionless football, where the opposition does not know where the pressure's coming and who's covering from, and how much more difficult it would be to attack a defense like that. I think they have the personnel to really pull that off this year, New Bear.
The one thing that anybody might talk about, the same way that we talked about Minka, is the next gen stats or some of the things he's slowing down or he's not that guy anymore. And then you look at his PFF grade and you're going to go, well, how many other guys are the guy if he's not the guy? And I'm talking about both of those guys. But specifically to Ramsey, and the reason that this is so exciting and you can move forward even if you were a Minka guy, is that this is a 3 levels player. This is a blitz off the slot and have production. This is a trail wide receiver 1 still and shut that guy down. And then this is a guy who projects like Rod Woodson to have the ability to go from corner to safety and maybe play as long as he wants to. And maybe this becomes a transition for him like Charles Woodson, where he's still doing that at an all-pro level. And again, is here for as long as he wants to be because he's just getting things done. The most exciting thing about Ramsey having the ability to be CB1 or having the ability to bring that Mike Hilton stuff that sailed down the Ohio 5 years ago for the first time since then. And then, oh, by the way, give you a little bit of that single high look and also go make those Ken Griffey Jr. catches, is that it allows other guys to do other things.
Yeah, indeed. Up next here on the Knoll Road, let's finish this with a message today from Mike Tomlin congratulating your new Hall of Honor inductees, Joey Porter, Maurkice Pouncey, and Ben Roethlisberger.
Man, what a small and really special group we have going in the Hall of Honor this year, man. I just want to send a big congratulations to Ben and Joey and Maurkice, man. I can't wait to have you guys back and participate in it. Well-deserved.
Yeah, well-deserved, obviously. 3 players being a small class. I think most organizations would be happy to have one guy of that ilk every year that they want to tuck away in their team's Hall of Fame.
Nothing better than the quarterback and the center going in together. Pouncey's a guy who's probably going to get in and be a Hall of Famer in his own right. And him and Ben had an extremely tight relationship. And what a player Pouncey was. What an absolutely fabulous player. And Joey Porter really got it done. And you talk about heartbeats of teams. We opened this talking about Patrick Queen in 2019 LSU. When you see those clips, they shot me in Denver. When you see those really, really, really just game-changing plays, yeah. But also behind the scenes, those philosophical, those elemental, those fundamental moments that brought those teams together, he was the one in the middle of the room going 1, 2, 3.
I love it, New Bear. I love talking football with you, and I love that Bet Online is the proud sponsor of the Knoll Road. We have a special link in the description down below. There's a QR code right now in the upper right-hand corner, up to $250 in bonus bets for all new accounts that sign up through this podcast, and up to 100 free spins as well on their prize wheel. They give away $1 million every month in their VIP rewards program. But the best thing about Bet Online is just available in so many more places than your traditional U.S. online sports books right now. The on-ramps and the off-ramps to get your cash in and out of the checking account is the best that I've seen. And it's not just the NFL, which, by the way, you can bet on NFL preseason right now, Chargers and Lions coming up on Friday, but it's full-service casino games and poker and horses and everything is available for you there on Bet Online. That's why I love them, and that's why I put that referral link there in the description below. So week 1 of Steelers training camp is in the books, New Bear. How you feeling about this team right now? Big picture. How's everything hitting you?
When you think about everything they did this offseason and the change that it signaled, and you go through, this training camp period, this acclimation, this holy cow, we're all here. Holy cow, this is all. And assuming they're all healthy, there's no limit to whatever you want to be as a fan of this team. Like playoffs should be table stakes because of the success they've had without a guy like this under center and figuring out a way to get it done. And if he's got anything left in the tank, I mean, I wrote a blog a couple weeks ago, and I mean, we're going to expand on it and extrapolate how, if he were to lead the Steelers to Lombardi number 7, I would argue that makes him QB2 of this generation, which if you're talking about being after Tom Brady, you could argue that he's the second best quarterback of all time. He might be the best thrower of the football that we've ever seen. And
I don't think anybody had a better 5-year run when I was watching early 2010s to mid 2010s. It was incredible.
And when you think about the effect that has on everybody else, remember when Brady went to Tampa, we're talking about COVID, and there were so many other things they had to get through, and everyone figured it out because they didn't want to let Tom Brady down. And when you have that element under center, the level of expectation, like what you are, your job isn't done until the job is done.
That's veteran leadership at its finest, and a great point, New Bear, to wrap this thing up. We'll be back soon with more Steelers training camp content for you. Please sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss our next upload. Okay, until then, here we go. We'll see you on the Knoll Road.